Good morning, my fellow humans. Today, I want to talk about Bad Bunny and the halftime show, and how excited I am that Bad Bunny was basically sharing his culture with the world. And it was on national television, and I loved it. I am so glad that the Puerto Rican people were represented. And I love the show. I'm glad he sang it in all Spanish. I took one class of Spanish, so I know very little bit, but I'm glad that the whole performance basically was in Spanish because we need to share. I'm glad that they were able to share their culture. It's good to hear Spanish. It's a beautiful language. I plan on taking more classes, and I love the music. I love Puerto Rican, their culture. And for those who do not know, Puerto Rico is a part of the United States, and Puerto Rican people are American. So I'm just very excited for the how inclusive it was. It's good for us to see Hispanic culture. It's good for us to see Puerto Rican people in a good light. It was a wonderful thing. I loved it. It was like a breath of fresh air, and I felt proud of those people. I love their culture. I love their food. Latin American. I'm just a fan of their culture. I love their people. I'm glad to see that people who were different from me get attention. And I also saw some of the dancers had my complexion too. And I was like, oh, hey, cool. So I loved it. I'm an African American woman, and I enjoy looking at other cultures. I'm totally okay with other people getting positive attention. And I think Bad Bunny, he is very handsome. And I really like the dancers. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, Bad Bunny, he got 135.4 views. Sorry, 135.4 million views. 135 million views. That is exciting. It was the most views any Super Bowl halftime show ever got. So Bad Bunny, he made history. And then on top of that, oh, I forgot to mention, I loved it when he was dancing on top of that vehicle. And I started moving my shoulders because I love the beat of the music. The beat of the music and the happy mood, it made me want to dance. But yeah, I loved when he gave his little Grammy award to the little boy, let the little boy hold it. And what a beautiful little boy. I mean, that was just a fantastic moment. And yeah, I think he represented Puerto Rico. He represented them very well. And I'm so glad that he named other Latin American countries. And that was just beautiful. Latin America, there's a lot of people who speak Spanish. So I'm glad that they were represented. Now, back to the silly KKK white supremacists who did not appreciate this. First of all, I'm going to talk about Donald Trump first. So, what stupid Donald Trump said, he said that it was terrible. It does not represent America. He said it was a slap in the face. What an ignorant thing for a U.S. president to say. But Donald Trump is extremely stupid because white supremacy makes people stupid. Just what he had to say. He was saying the dancers was disgusting. That was real rich coming from him, because when he had his private party at when he had his Gatsby party, he had half dressed women at his party, but they were white, so it was okay. And there was this half dressed women in a cup, and it was okay for them because they were white. So he was being a huge, gigantic, fat hypocrite. He was being a hypocrite. And there was many Christians at his party at Mar-a-Lago, and they were okay with the half-dressed women at Mar-a-Lago, and they were dancing at the Gatsby party that Donald Trump threw. So he was being a major hypocrite. So, but yeah, racist people, they usually don't like to see brown-skinned people dance. I can prove it. Like, and you can look it up too. Native American people, the Native American, they have their own dance, and they have their own tribal Indian dance. And the white missionaries back then tried to stop the American Indians from dancing. And the native people in Hawaii, they had the same problem. You know, the Hawaiian people, they're known for shaking their hips with their green skirts. You know, in Hawaii, they're known for doing that. And they had their own dance. And white racist missionaries went to Hawaii to tell Hawaii people to stop doing their dance, to stop doing their tribal dance. But I'm glad that the Hawaii people, they still do their dance. They still have their green skirts, and racist people are trying to tell them not to do their dances, and they're still doing their dances. The Native Americans are still doing their dances. And then Puerto Rico people, they're still embracing their culture. And a long time ago, when America when it took over Puerto Rico back in 1917, they wanted to get more men to fight for the American country. America tried to take Puerto Ricans, tried to turn the island of Puerto Rico. They tried to make the Spanish-speaking people, they tried to force them to all speak English. But I'm glad Puerto Rico kept to their Spanish. And a lot of people in Puerto Rico, they know Spanish and English, But I'm just saying that I'm glad that America didn't take away. They tried to, but I'm glad that Puerto Rico still have their Spanish language. Good for them, Like I said, I love the language. But yeah. So what Trump he had to say, he was very stupid. And then, but that also shows that Donald Trump, he watched the Bad Bunny halftime show. He didn't even watch the other alternative show. He did not watch Kid Rock show, the stupid KKK country bumpkin show. He didn't watch that one. He watched Bad Bunny. So the fact that Donald Trump watched Bad Bunny, he secretly did enjoy it, because you don't stare at what you don't like. Donald Trump is watching the show. You watch what you like. You don't watch what you don't like. And yeah, Donald Trump, he was hate watching it, but he know good and darn well. That Bad Bunny has talent, okay? Bad Bunny, he has 6 Grammy awards and about 17 Latin Grammy awards. So that's pretty good. That's a sign that this young man, I think he's 31 years old, Bad Bunny, he has talent. He's talented. Now guess how many Grammys Kid Rock won? Kid Rock has 0 Grammys. He has 0. I never was a fan of Kid Rock. He sucks. And what, I'm going to also talk about what Franklin Graham said. But before that, the KKK stupid halftime country bumpkin show with Turning Point USA, they only got 6 million views. But remember, the Bad Bunny halftime show got 134 million views. So Bad Bunny won. So fantastic. So also, it's really good that the Seahawks won too, just because KK Caroline Levitt, the press secretary, she said go Patrick. No, she said go Patriots. So I'm glad that the opposite team of what she wanted to win. I'm glad that the Seahawks won, just because she said go Patriots. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Go Seahawks. They won. So anyways, next to the next person who criticized the Bad Bunny halftime show, it was Franklin Graham. Billy Graham? Billy Graham, oh my gosh. His son Franklin Graham is a darn hypocrite. He said that the NFL had a sexualized agenda. Okay, so why would Franklin Graham say that the NFL had a sexualized agenda? Because I can answer that question, because Franklin Graham, he sexualized the performance. He did. He sexualized Bad Bunny and the dancers, because Franklin Graham, he is a white supremacist who doesn't like to see brown skinned people dance. And Franklin Graham, he is also an old man who has been sexually suppressed all his life. And since he's been sexually suppressed all his life, he was sexually turned on by Bad Bunny and the dancers. And he got off on it, and he masturbated to the halftime show. And then that's why he criticized them and he blamed them for being sexual people, because his religion teaches that sexuality is bad. Okay? And the reason why I know that, because I used to be an evangelical fundamentalist Christian, just like Franklin Graham. I used to be that way when I was a child, because I was born into that religion. I was brainwashed into that religion. And then I realized that these stuck-up white supremacist Christians, they had a huge sexual problems, and they will always blame black people and Hispanic people for their sexual problems. So yeah, they don't like to see brown-skinned people dancing and having a good time. Okay, they always want to tell brown-skinned people, stop dancing. Why? Because they got turned on by it. And so I saw it as a celebration, and Franklin Graham saw it as something else, because he has a dirty mind. But Franklin Graham, he said that Kid Rock was a wonderful person, and that he said that Kid Rock's, he said that his performance was wonderful, and he said that that Turning Point represents family, faith, and freedom. But Kid Rock and Turning Point USA, they don't really represent family and freedom and faith, because Kid Rock, he had he sang in one of his songs, he had these lyrics, and I'm going to read these lyrics to you to prove to you that Kid Rock is not a good person. So Kid Rock, this is the lyrics in one of his songs. It says, young lady, I like them underage. See, some say that's statutory. And so he was singing a song that he likes underage ladies. And that's one of the lyrics, those are the lyrics to one of his songs. Something wrong with Kid Rock. And as a matter of fact, the Turning Point USA, their little halftime stupid country bumpkin show, it was a show for people who want to support pedophile and who wants to protect the pedophiles. It was not a good show. I'm telling you, these dumbass Christians, they have their own problem. Yeah, and Erica Kirk, she was a part of, she's like pretty much the top leader of the Turning Point USA, and I think it was her idea to have the All-American halftime show. But see, notice the name? They call it All-American halftime show. That's a sign of ignorance. Like I said, the Puerto Ricans are American. The halftime show, the Super Bowl halftime show, it was an all-American show because the Puerto Ricans are Americans. American comes in many different shapes and sizes. I don't care if the racist people think that all Americans are supposed to be white. All Americans don't have to be white, okay? They're so ignorant. It is okay for an American person to be Hispanic, to be brown, and to speak Spanish. But the racist people, they don't like that. They're so stupid. They're so divisive. They're so just closed off. They're so divisive. That's why they created their own little party. They're trying to go back to Jim Crow days. The Jim Crow days when brown and white people and black and white people were separate. They're trying to go back to those old days. That's why they had their own separate show. But yeah. But anyway, the Turning Point thing, they had their problems. So I'm going to read this to you. So the Turning Point USA, they're going to do it on X, but they were being disorganized at first. So this is what they set out at first, before their stupid KKK halftime show. They said, due to license restrictions, we are unable to screen the All-American halftime show on X. Okay, wow. And then after that, they said, head over to our YouTube channel tonight around 8 o'clock. So I wonder how many people actually did go on YouTube to see their halftime show at 8 o'clock, So anyways, I won't mention this other person who said something really, really stupid about Bad Bunny. Jake Paul. Jake Paul called Bad Bunny a fake American. Shut up, Jake Paul. Why would you call him a fake American? Shut up, Jake Paul. But yeah, he said he said that Bad Bunny was a fake American just because he was born in Puerto Rico. What a very ignorant thing today. What a very ignorant thing for him to say. And as a matter of fact, Jake Paul lives in Puerto Rico. Okay, Jake Paul, he was born in Texas, but he moved to Puerto Rico to avoid taxes. Now, I'm not sure if Jake Paul was born in Texas, but I know he was born in the mainland, but he moved to Puerto Rico so that he could avoid paying some taxes. So he's living in Puerto Rico, but he's trying to shit on Puerto Rican people. That doesn't make sense. And then Megyn Kelly had a meltdown, and she was complaining that the show was not done in Spanish, and she was complaining. She was just complaining. She was just an idiot. She was just complaining because they were Puerto Rican and that they were doing it in Spanish. You know, the language was in Spanish. And then Lori Lumar, she completely took off her KKK hood and she exposed who she really is. But she complained that the dancers and that the singers, she complained that they were not white. I was like, whoa. She complained that they were not white. She complained that she did not understand the Spanish. She complained that it was all Puerto Rican people, and she was acting like she don't like when other people of different ethnic groups get attention. Which, like I said earlier, it's okay for other people of different ethnic groups to get attention. I am okay with that. I am okay with other people celebrating their culture. But Laura Loomer, she's a dumb ass KKK white supremacist who she wants everything to be white. The only thing she likes: white milk, Wonder Bread, Miracle Whip, white, no flavor. Lori Loomer, fuck you. Fuck you all the way to hell. Megyn Kelly, fuck you for criticizing Puerto Rican people for being Puerto Rican. And Jake Paul, fuck you all the way to hell for saying that Bad Bunny's a fake American. Bad Bunny is a real American. And as a matter of fact, Bad Bunny is more American than Melania Trump. Bam. Ha. What do you think about that? Think about that. And then also Donald Trump, fuck you all the way to hell for being the leader of this country, but being extremely ignorant and showing your dumb ass to the world. You know, Donald Trump, he said nobody understands this. Just because he didn't understand it doesn't mean that nobody else understood it. He thinks Bad Bunny is the only man in the world who speaks and understands Spanish. Millions upon millions and perhaps billions of people speak Spanish. About 15%, 15 or 20% of people in America speak Spanish. So heck yes, they should get attention and they should be allowed to speak Spanish on TV. Yes. But anyways, I'm for multiculturalism. I love the culture. Yeah, keep it up, Bad Bunny. I am so glad that you were able to represent your country very well. And I'm so glad that other Latin American countries were represented. And here's this last thing I want to say before I leave. America, so many American citizens are behind when it comes to learning a different language and learning a different culture. And here's a quick fact that I think everybody should know. English is not the first language in America. The first languages that were spoken in America were the Native American people. The Native American people had their own language, okay? And then Spanish people from Spain traveled over here, okay? and then the English came later. But my point is, English is not the first language that was spoken in North America, and that is a truth. So yes, people in America, we need to look at other cultures. We're not the only people in the world that exist. Whiteness is not the only thing that exists, and it is not the only standard that exists. To be a white supremacist is a stupid thing to be. To be a KKK, to believe that whiteness is the best and the top thing to be, and to ignore all these other beautiful cultures, that's as dumb as hell. That's really, really dumb. Just look at yourself and think about that. So, anyways, I said what I wanted to say, and please comment in the comment section and share your reactions to the halftime show. And I will talk to you later. Goodbye.